Alright, what is going on, everybody? Here we are Monday after we did take all the lattice top down from the patio cover. So we are going to be switching gears though. We're going to be starting on the pavers, start working on all the paver area right back there. We're also going to be getting all the trash out of the backyard today, throwing all the extra lattice away so we have more room to work with the pavers, and just kind of cleaning up the yard a little bit. Alright, what is going on, everybody? This is Tim Odell with Odell Complete Concrete, and this is part 5 of this build series. I hope that you guys have all been following along on the build series so you know exactly what is going on with this job. And if you haven't, just go in and check the description. I'll have links to all the parts below so you can see what we've been doing so far throughout this project. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do really quick before I do start loading up all this trash, I did want to get this drain established really quick for the paver area. I'm just going to basically be going off of this right here, this concrete. I'm going to go off the concrete right here. That's going to be this is basically going to be my benchmark. And we're benchmark the wall over there, same height as this. And then I'm just going to measure the distance between the concrete to the drain and the drain to the wall. Should be basically even. We'll double check though. So we'll double check right now together. That right there. It looks like we have about 11 feet. Alright, let's check the wall now. Yep, 11 feet. Now that we know that we have the same distance in those areas, I can account for that as I am setting up my drain height, because what we need is about 1%, no, probably like 1.5% for pavers. So 1.5% from the concrete to the drain. I'll have to do the calculations on that later, but once I figure it out, I'll go over it with you guys. Next thing I do need to know though is what I have from the wall to the drain, and then from the drain to the corners, because the corners are always the furthest points, and really what you kind of should always kind of base your slope off of, because those are, like I said, the furthest points. Let's see what we got. Yes, let's see that. It's about 14.5 feet almost. So it'll be 14.5 the other way as well, from the corner to corner. So really, that's what I should use my measurement off of. And I'll probably just go for 1% from the corners, and then that'll give me a really even slope from the edges and from front to back. It's about 9 feet. So it's almost the same distance. Almost the same distance as it is from front to back. So let's do some quick math really quick. Okay, so back to the math. So it's like I was saying, rise over run. So the rise is basically the fall from the furthest point, the fall from the furthest point to the drain, right? So what we're gonna do is let's try 2. Let's do 2 inches. Because every 8 feet you go down 1 inch will give you a 1% slope, and I only have 14 feet, so 2 inches in that run right there should automatically be like 1.5, I believe, but we'll see. So I have 2 inches for the first point for our fall, right? And I gotta basically, so 2 inches, right? Then we divide that by 14 feet equals, and then the last thing you got to do is times it by 100 to give you a percentage, and it's 1.2% slope. I want it to be heavier from that corner, because everything else after that, that's actually pretty good, because everything else after that, say, because that was 9 feet, remember, and that was 11 feet, so these will have even harder slope, and we'll show you right now too. So if the first point got 1.2% slope, I'm pretty sure these are going to probably almost have 2%. So let's see, do 2 inches divided by 9 feet equals, times that by 100, and look at that, 1.8% slope. So almost 2% from that point to there. So 2 inches is what we want. Sounds like it's gonna be really nice. Just enough slope everywhere. So I'm gonna go 2 inches. I'm basically gonna benchmark right here, mark it on that, then go drop down 2 inches, cut it, put my drain on. That's the height. And then we're gonna grade everything around this area for that percentage. So I hope that made sense on how I was getting all the calculations and the slope percentage when figuring out your drain levels. If not, go ahead and comment down and then let me know if you guys do enjoy me going into like heavy details like that when you're trying to set up your percentage of slope. That way for the future I know to either leave that in or just cut it out. But so now I basically have my drain cut to the right height. Like I said, I just benchmarked it from the concrete, dropped it down 2 inches, put my drain on. Then what I did was I pulled the string line on the outside of the pavers so I can see the height. And then I also snapped some chalk lines on the perimeter of the walls, and then I ran string lines all the way around, kind of like in a clockwork motion to the drain, so I can see the grade following all the way to the drain height, so that I can make sure to grade the 3/4 inch rock properly. Okay, what we're doing right now is I'm just cutting or ripping down a 2x4 down to 2 3/4 because that is what I'm going to be using to grade out the 3/4 inch rock that we're going to be bringing in, and that'll get me to the height where all I have left over to put in that area is pavers and sand. The pavers are 2 1/4, and the sand will count for the other 1/2 inch. So we will have 2 3/4 in total. So all I do, I just measure out the board, 2 3/4. That is where we're gonna mark. Then we're gonna come down to the side. So 2 3/4, we mark that out. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull a string line, snap it, and cut this. Now come over here because I've already done that. So here's the paver area that we're working in right now. And you can see all the string lines we have set up around the area. Next thing we do, now here's my 2 3/4 board, right? So we got 2 3/4 right there. Oops. Hopefully you can see that. Now that I know that that is at the right height, all I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be grading the base backwards, and I'm gonna barely be kissing that string line like that. I'm gonna try to keep my board as flat and level as possible. I do have another string line over here on this side though. So you can see I'm under both string lines. And that way I know I'm grading everything to the right height. I do have a little bit of a gap right there, which isn't too bad. All I gotta do is push some rock back and then just keep going down just like that. And that's how we basically get our grade established for the pavers and get the right slope to our drain. Once all the 3/4 inch rock is all graded out, we will be switching over to the pipes, putting the pipes down and screeding the sand on top of the pipes for the fine tune of the grade. So that is all we're gonna do. We're just gonna keep grading out all the 3/4 inch rock all the way down to until we get to the drain, making sure that everything is at the right grade. Once that is all done, we're going to just remove all the string lines, compact all of the 3/4 inch rock, and start getting ready to lay down pipes and sand. source came delivered. So we got the Catalina Grana 3-piece large Victorian style. So the Pavers just got delivered, and we have compacted all the 3/4 inch rock. The next thing we're going to be doing is laying down our 1/2 inch conduit pipe, and that's what's going to help us screed all of the sand to the right height for our pavers. And I'm going to go into a little in-depth explaining of how we do this. Okay, right now we're on to the phase of the fine-tuned sand part. As you can see, we have all of our screeding pipes all laid out around the whole drain. We have our string lines all set around the drain as well. Just how we were grading out the 3/4 inch rock. It's almost the same deal, but this is where it really comes into play with the fine tuning. So if I measure down from the pipe to the string line, we have about 2.5 inches. And really what I need to be at is 2 1/4. Because I need the pavers at 2 1/4, and I know the string line's top grade from the concrete to the drain. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab some sand like this. Grab a little scoop, right? I'm gonna throw a little bit of sand under, like that, right? Now, see, I'm too high now. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push it down till I get 2 1/4. All right, and that looks like about 2 1/4 right there. Okay, now that is set. Now I just gotta do it at the bottom end, because check this out. We're at 2.5 as well right here. And like I said, that's no good. We need to be at 2 1/4. So just grab another scoop, throw a little bit of sand under. And push it down a little bit until I get 2 1/4. And that looks like it right there. Yeah. Now, all you gotta do after that, after you have 2 1/4 from end to end on your screeding pipes, is you just throw a little bit of sand over the whole pipe so it locks it in place, and you can start screeding back. And you never, ever, ever wanna dump the sand on your pipes. You always dump it in between each section, because then you can move the sand a lot easier and it won't mess up your grade. So that's what we're doing right now. We're just getting all the grade established, and then I'm gonna start screeding all of the sand down towards the drain, just how we did it with the 3/4 inch rock. So now that you can see how we're gonna be going about grading out this entire area with the sand, we're just gonna keep screeding down off of the pipes. And that'll give us the perfect grade for when we start to lay our pavers. And then I did also bring my other team out here, Roman and his son and nephew. And they're a team that I always like to bring out when I am installing pavers. They make the process a lot easier and faster. Alright, so we have the area all screeded out. Next thing we're going to be doing is we're just measuring off the concrete 12 inches out, because that's where our border piece is going to go for the concrete all the way through. And then we're going to make sure that our string line's going this way and that way, all squared up right there, because that's where our paver pattern is going to start, and we're going to work out all the way, so all the cuts end up being against the wall. Alright, so Roman's getting square right now to start the pattern. So now that we have the square all laid out for this paver patio area, all we're going to do is start at that starting point and work our way towards the walls, because inevitably there is going to be cuts against the wall, and we want to hide those cuts against the wall. So at this point, I mean, the homeowner seemed fine and happy with everything we were doing. Didn't seem like she had much complaints, but it did seem like she was trying to find flaws at this point. And I think she was trying to find flaws at this point was because I think she was trying to get us kicked off this job. So later on, she brings to my attention of how she didn't end up liking that we didn't border the paver patio area, even though I asked her beforehand if she wanted us to continue the border all the way around. And she decided that she'd rather have just the field of the pavers run against the wall. So that's what we ended up doing, even though she ended up not liking that. And then the other part is when we build out these paver stepping stones, like separate from the patio, she wanted low voltage lights in between those areas. And we did discuss this, and I said we can do this no problem, but she ended up changing her mind as we're going through this whole building series project. So I never ended up running the low voltage she needed for under the stepping stones. So once she decided that she wanted them, I told her it was too late, that we couldn't do that because the low voltage I had to run under the concrete patio to get the low voltage out to the paver area. So she also got mad about that. And then the last little thing that she really just did not like was the polymeric sand that we put into the pavers. And before I even put the polymeric sand in the pavers, I did show her the sand we were going to be using, and she confirmed with me that she wanted to go with that polymeric sand. But I guess once we put it in, it wasn't the right color. Even though I did show her beforehand, she said she was looking for a more goldish polymeric sand. And I explained to her, like, there's only two polymeric colors that we could have chosen from, and which was this tan gold color or a gray. And she was trying to argue with me that it wasn't the right tan color she was looking for, even though I did show her the options beforehand. In the end, she was just telling me that she wished I didn't put the polymeric sand in, but I tried to explain to her that putting the polymeric sand is necessary for pavers. It helps keep them all locked together. But she was trying to argue with me on that as well. Even when we did lay in some pavers, she would come out and tell us that she didn't like where we put some of the pavers down, and that she wanted to flip and switch some of the pavers in different areas because the colors in the pavers themselves weren't complementing each other where they were placed. So we ended up taking some out and switching them. So, I mean, overall, like I've been saying throughout this whole build series, this customer was just one of the worst I've ever dealt with. And there was no winning in any situation, it felt like, even though I tried really hard to make sure she was satisfied every step away of the project. And I'm sure plenty of you guys have dealt with a similar situation like this, where no matter how hard you try, you're just not going to be able to please your customer. But other than that, we're basically almost done with this paver patio. And you can see the 3 separate paver pads that we did build out on the side of the paver patio to kind of give this a more unique walkway. And this is the area that she wanted low voltage in between the space gaps of these paver pads, which I would have been happy to do, but she ended up changing her mind on me halfway through the project, so we never end up installing that low voltage she needed. And then later on she decides she wants them, and then it's too late now. But you can see we're concreting all of the borders of the pavers to make sure that these don't come out of place later on and they don't shift or sink. The concrete really helps keep everything really nice and tight and locked in. And then you guys be the judge. Let me know what you think about this paver patio. Once we do have all of our pavers installed, the last thing we're going to be doing is laying in our polymeric sand and compacting all the pavers. And like I said, this was another part she just didn't like. She didn't like the color of the polymeric sand. Alright, so pavers are basically all in. We just finished up the board over there. There's a couple cut pieces we got to do around the post right there. Other than that, all the papers are in. What we're gonna do right now is we're gonna cut this little rug we got to size for the compactor. This is a little bit of an upgrade from the cardboard that I'm normally doing. Jose is getting this all ready for us.
Yeah.
Little nifty tricks of the trade. You don't want to buy like a $500 rubber mat for your paver compaction. Just buy a rug from Home Depot for $5. Way better.
It was $500.
So we're just compacting the pavers first without the polymeric sand down, and then we are gonna lay down all the polymeric sand, spread it, and then compact the pavers one more time. But after this was basically the last thing we did on this job. We were supposed to install the sod area. We were supposed to finish the patio cover. We were going to be doing the planers behind the wall. And the homeowner basically just told me that she needed 2 weeks to think about the type of patio cover lumber she wanted to use. But really, within that time, what she was doing was finding another contractor. So I ended up getting a text later on from her telling me to not worry about coming back to the job site, that she has someone else to finish it. So I was pretty much blindsided by this. And the funniest part really about this was when she did get these other quotes from these contractors and they came in to do the work, she didn't like what they did either. And she actually ended up texting me saying, "Hey, Tim, is there any chance of you being able to come back and finish the rest of the work?" But at that point, I felt betrayed that she even wasn't upfront with me about this situation. So I never responded to her. Another contractor was already on that site changing things around. So at that point, it wasn't my job anymore. And I let her figure out how she wanted to go about finishing up her backyard remodel. Because at that point, it was not my responsibility. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys would have done. Would you have gone back and finished up this job? I mean, I did lose money because of the situation. I never got my full payout of what I was owed. But at the end of the day, I really just did not want to handle or deal with this lady anymore. I was more just wanting that peace of mind that, hey, you got someone else to handle this. That's your problem now. But that basically wraps up this build series. Let me know what you guys think. Go ahead and give me some comments in the comment section. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. I really do appreciate that, because it's not easy sharing these type of stories and jobs with the world to see, really. Most people wouldn't. But I thought it was important to do, and hope that you guys enjoyed that I did do this. Anyways, stay tuned for more Odell Complete Concrete videos. We'll be uploading as frequently as possible. We try to keep it weekly. And have a great day, guys. Thank you for watching.